As businesses big and small across Canada begin to reopen, there's one sector that has stalled: travel, especially the airline industry. Air Canada has laid off 20,000 people, more than half of its workforce. And this week, WestJet announced it is laying off more than 3,300 workers. Domestic flights are still happening, though much reduced. It's international air travel that's really tanked. Passenger arrivals at Canadian airports were down 95% last week compared to 2019. That's according to the Canada Border Services Agency. If you do decide to fly, the rules around air travel are changing, both for airlines and for passengers. Crystal Goomansingh shows us how.
The Coliseum is an iconic symbol of the past. Its future, however, rests in the sanitized hands of its visitors. So many of the world's top attractions are reopening, but to fall in love with these sites, something else has to happen first. People have to start flying again.
Hi, my name is Miranda Diperno, and I was last on a flight April 28th, flying from Montreal to Vancouver.
April was the worst month on record for the aviation sector. The industry bottomed out as the deadly pandemic swept across Europe and over to North America. The company that directs air traffic above the UK, some of the busiest airspace in the world, created this flight comparison showing just how different the sky appeared in April 2019 compared to April this year.
I felt pretty all right with things. I think perhaps it has to do with my age, but I know my mom was very nervous about flying. And everyone on the flight was like fully, some people were in full like painter's suits with their hair tucked away and goggles and masks and gloves and everything. Everyone had a mask on. Most people had gloves on, and then the energy of the flight, I could feel the air so just intense, like you could hear a pin drop.
What a surreal experience.
Yeah, even just, the body language of the people around you, I think we've kind of gotten into this place with flights where we're trying to claim space, and I could feel, instead of, people's shoulders being back and kind of spreading out and wanting to take that space, it was almost the exact opposite, where it was all these layers and scarves, and just people wanted as much, to be kept to themselves as possible.
Keeping ourselves locked away at home was exactly what we were all directed to do. Now the message is changing.
We are now at a period of time that we need to learn how to coexist with the virus.
The International Air Transport Association says resuming air travel is key to restarting economies. However, the agency's own polling shows flyers in 11 countries, including Canada, are hesitant. 3 sets of polls by IATA shows overall concern about the virus remains high for Canadians, going from 63% in February to 80% this month. When it comes to the question of returning to travel, the majority of those polled, 55%, say they'll wait at least 6 months before traveling.
Hello, my name is Rani Suleman, and I flew from London, UK to Toronto, Canada on June 19th. I had a lot of anxiety around that because I was like, am I making the right choice? Traveling, it wasn't busy. It wasn't full by any means. And I think that went a long way in alleviating some of the stress that I had, because the middle seats were all blocked off. And while I was placed in a pod of 3, the middle seat was empty, and then there was a gentleman sitting on the aisle side.
Public health is a new layer to air travel safety. The industry is replicating what's being done in other sectors to try and protect people from COVID-19. Masks are universal, temperature checks are widely used. Some countries are opting to test travelers, and cleaning efforts have been enhanced in airports and on planes. Non-essential foreign travel is still not recommended for Canadians, but come next month, the plan is for most of Europe to reopen to international visitors. A big part of the reason comes down to money.
Greece is ready to welcome tourists this summer, by putting their safety and their health as our number one priority.
In some countries, visitors have to quarantine, but there is a huge amount of pressure from industry on governments to scrap those restrictions. They're seen as yet another barrier to restarting air travel. From this vantage point at London City Airport, we should be watching lots of planes coming and going, but there just isn't the demand. Airlines this year expect to post a loss of $84 million, and that will have a ripple effect on millions of jobs attached to the sector.
The passenger is going to have more responsibilities. He's going to have to be fit for travel, which in the past wasn't necessarily the case. But that's what's going to help us reduce the risk.
But many people don't know they're sick. Travel has led to new infections. New Zealand was virus-free for weeks until two seemingly healthy women visited from the UK and ended up testing positive. Beijing saw flights canceled recently, and new clusters of COVID-19 led to localized lockdowns.
This is where risk becomes such an interesting concept to mull over. My personal opinion is if you don't need to travel, then don't travel.
Until there's some kind of, vaccine or people are feeling comfortable with where the numbers are at, I do think the way that we gather around one another, be it in a plane or on the bus or on the subway, there's definitely going to be a new awareness and consciousness of who is around you and what sounds, sneezes, fluids are maybe coming from your area.
The industry is working to rebuild consumer confidence. The recovery from COVID-19 is expected to take years. Airlines are banking on there not being a second wave and on our desire to get back out and see the world.